Yahio.
OSCM, thank you for that powerful song. Misapka Kwelem, welcome everyone. Welcome to legislatures, SWASM members, staff, guests, those that are here in person, and those that are observing online. Thank you so much for attending our legislative session tonight. I hope that you all had a restful, long weekend and enjoyed family time, rest time, Netflix time, whatever it is that you decided to do with your weekend. And it's good to see you all back, and I hope that your hearts are full of happiness and joy for the time that you spent this weekend. Thank you to our relative, Connie Adams, for her strong and powerful voice, sharing her gift of song and drum, and helping us with our ceremonial procession in tonight. Thank you to Yums Catering. We really appreciate the food that you provided to nourish our bodies. We're really happy for that meal tonight. I also would like to acknowledge a Sultanate, Tai Lewis, for starting our meal off in a good way and ensuring that we bless our food appropriately. Tonight marks our third meeting of our Spring 2025 session, and we have a lot of important work today to do ahead of us this evening. And I am really grateful and honored to be here sharing that work with all of you legislators here tonight. Before we proceed, I'd like to invite my cousin, relative, and new mom, Squaswanson, Victoria Williams, to open our meeting in prayer with her little one supporting that work. Haichka.
Haichka. I don't know if that's a good spot. Okay, that's perfect. All right, so I don't have this prayer memorized, but my relative from Catesy, has shared this one when we were doing the language program. I'll say it in Hunkaminam and then English. Itst chonatzamat. Tzitamatzan kwitzitzol tziem. Imok tzakol. Tzitamatzan athana tan tamoch. Tzitamatzan ataka. Taslamoch. Tastatlo. Tahatza. Taspew. Tashwatan. Ta squatchan. Ita quackwa. Itamatsan at ersten. Ta quaquimeloch. Ta spanum. Ta slachen. Ta squaqualech. Ta schwatiman iwan. Ta ita steam. Tit amatsan at chopayelp, te slaup, te stawet, te quatlauf, tet ath, tet anatsa, te tautku, a talantnats, te tanayach, te tanyalmoch, te satats, ite squachwamoch. Tit amatsan at shwachwas, ta chwachonak, ta shwachwas. Tit amatsan at tana sitla, elts, ta siakwam ita qualasan. Ta tialachwe, iquthana, natamat, tit alatsan. I chach llamatala. Itst eitna shkwalwin. Itst chonatzamat. Heitzapka. So that was Hunkaminam, and here's the English. Our minds become one. Thank you, Creator, for everything. I thank you for Mother Earth. I thank you for the water, the rain, river, lake, ice, clouds, fog, and ocean. I thank you for the fish, the roots, the plants, the medicine, the birds, the seeds, and the berries. I thank you for the cedar tree, the salmonberry bush, and all the winds. I thank you for the thunder and the lightning. Thank you for my grandmother moon, the sun, and the stars, my ancestors, my whole family, and I thank you and take care of you. Now we have good thoughts and feelings. Now our minds are one. I thank you all. Osiem.
OCM. Thank you so much for sharing the language and bringing an opening to our meeting in the language. Thank you for bringing your little one to witness and share the work and remind us why we're doing this work together. OCM. Echka. Tonight, I would really like to say a great big welcome to Nevea Favang, another youth getting involved to be our feather runner. Welcome, Nevea. We're very happy to have you tonight to do this important work. Nevea is Tony and Charlene Jacobs' granddaughter, so we're very happy to have her today, and a niece to a couple of our people in this crowd here as well. Welcome, Nevea. And as a new feather runner, I would like to remind all our legislators and staff that when I call on your name to speak, and you wait for me to call their name, raise your hand high so Nevea can see and know who to go to. And remember to give the feather back to her once you've done speaking. Let's support her in being a successful feather runner so that she'll want to come back and join us to do this work again. Thank you so much, Nevea. We're really pleased to have you here. I would like to send some regrets from Legislator Taylor Baker. She's unable to join us for this evening, but she sends warm regards and regrets to all of you. As always, a pleasant and gentle reminder, I assume I'm being pleasant about this. Maybe next time I won't be if there's any rule breakers. Please put your cell phones on silence as to not to be disruptive. We know that you might get the need to get called for something, and while I do enjoy a good ringtone, I think that it would be nicer if we weren't disrupted. If you have two cell phones, remember to put the second one on silent as well, please. For tonight's agenda, where are my glasses? Oh, there we go. There we go. For tonight's agenda, we are going to start with a report from the Leaseholder Resident Advisory Committee. And I'd just like to remind legislatures that we've already heard from our advisory council at the report at the last meeting. So please refer to your binders or to the SharePoint site for legislatures to review that report for the schedules that we are going to be reviewing tonight. We're going to, following the Leasehold Resident Advisory Committee report, we are going to have the second reading of Schedule 3, the local government lands and engineering, that's the municipal infrastructure. Next, we will have a second reading of Schedule 7, our local government capital expenditures. And then we will conduct the second reading of Schedule 14, member capital expenditures. Some of us have been referring this to the Sean Jacobs Show, so it'll be a full night of presentation for Sean. I think that maybe a good thing is then Sean gets the bulk of his work done, and then he can relax for the rest of the session. All right. Are there any questions for tonight's agenda, legislatures? Well, Heichka, let's move on to the first item of the night, the report, a report from the Leasehold Resident Advisory Committee. And I would like to call upon our favorite Director of Finance, Mark DeMello, to give this report. Mark? So now
Aichka Nevea, Aichka Squeakle CM. And I'm really grateful to be your favorite because I am the only director of finance.
lucky you.
I know. So I'd like to offer for the consideration of Tsawwassen Legislature the following comments from the Leasehold Residents Advisory Committee. The committee met on February the 10th from 6 to 8 p.m. There were 9 leaseholders present, and I presented on all of the local government schedules, so that's schedules 1 through 7. The comments will follow. And once again, the comments are a little bit more operational in nature. There was general support for the budgets and the programs, in particular on the capital side. There was support for the work that is being proposed to try and reduce the speed on Tsawwassen Drive. The comment was just whether those would work, because people tend to speed up between the traffic humps, but everyone acknowledged it was better to try than to not. The dike upgrade study also got a lot of support and encouragement to pursue as quickly as possible the upgrades in coordination with other local governments. There was also support for the money that had been put aside for bluff stability. There were some comments about needing to look at dead trees and other brush, but it was also recognized that this is a really important location for the blue heron and their nesting, and so staff offered to take that forward to the relevant staff who are here today. Any other comments were really operational, and again, very operational in nature around snow clearing. Those are in the report. I don't think they have impact on the actual budget presentation. So thank you, Squeakle CM. I will pass the feather back and take any questions.
Hajka, Mark, thank you so much for that presentation. Legislatures, do you have any questions with respect to the Leasehold Advisory Committee report, Leasehold Resident Advisory Committee report? Please refer to this report when you're considering each of the schedules that come before you. That report is available on our systems. Thank you so much, Mark. I just want to acknowledge that I have a new support person in the hot seat. I would like to acknowledge Isabella Corbet, who is our shining youth star, who's gone through and got a higher education. And Twyla has mentioned in the past how we're so happy to have a youth in policy, in the policy work and contributing that youth lens. And now, getting some experience here. I hope you're not too terribly nervous. It's okay. You've done some great work already, and you're just supporting the work that you've already drafted for us. So thank you so much. Let's challenge Isabella here to make sure that we have keep her busy as well. But I just wanted to raise my hands to her and thank her for stepping up and stepping into this support role as we build more capacity in our staff. Hajka. All right. So thank you, Mark, for that report. We really appreciate it, and we really appreciate the Leaseholder Residents Advisory Committee for taking the time to provide this input as we deliberate each of the schedules that were put before them. Now let's move on to Schedule 3, the Local Government Lands and Engineering. It's Municipal Infrastructure of Bill 001-2025. This is the second reading, and it is the time for debate, debating the substance and the merits of Schedules 3, 7, and 14 this evening. And this is the time that you can present any questions that you might have about the budgets, the impact of the budgets, how this budget is being accounted for, and different budget-related type of questions. So beginning with the second reading of Schedule 3, I'd like to call on the Director of Municipal Infrastructure, Sean Jacobs. Just a small note, Sean, you are my favorite Director of Municipal Infrastructure, so, just so you don't think I'm playing finance favorites, thank you so much. Good job, Nevaeh.
Nevaeh?
Sean?
Hajka Squeakle CM. Sorry. Okay, unfortunately, you guys are stuck with me tonight. So we'll start with the boring stuff, the operations budget. So there's been some changes, and perhaps Mark has indicated already at previous sessions, but there's been a few structural changes throughout the organization, and one of them was the development of the municipal infrastructure department. And so some of the changes with that, the creation of that department was combining our public works and utilities into one function, our development engineering, general engineering, and capital programs into one function, and then we have our government facilities as well. So within those three core functions, we have 3 new manager roles, and so the budgets are reflective of that. As far as the budgets themselves are concerned, the public works is still separate from utilities in the budget spreadsheets. So see if I can figure out how to use this thing. That's the wrong way. Okay. So just going through the budgets here. Usually we include like a 4 or 5 year outlook of previous budgets. Because of the structural changes, we're unable to do that, but I've incorporated last year's budget, comparing it to this year's budget. And overall, we have about a 15% increase amongst the whole budget. And most of that is increasing the staff capacity for the management roles, as well as a lot of one-time purchases for equipment and supplies. So moving right into the public works budget, there are 4 areas where we're seeing some increases. The first one is $110,000 increase for signs and lights. This is basically to include some funds so that we can start procuring a stock of streetlight equipment. What we're finding is that when streetlights get hit, we have to go through our insurance policies and ICBC, and there's long lead times. So rather than go through that process, we just want to get a stock of equipment on hand and then seek reimbursement through our insurance providers in the future. So that's what that price is, just to buy some street lights. On the road maintenance side, there's a $130,000 increase. So a lot of cleanup work with the budgets moving around, but mostly our boulevard and bioswale maintenance budget remains the same. We've increased it a little bit for contracting services as they continue to go up year after year. We've also increased our asphalt maintenance and curb maintenance program to continue inspecting the roads and start doing more professional inspections of our roads, hiring consultants to go in there. Other than that, no other major changes to the road maintenance. Other than that, we've eliminated a servicing agreement budget that used to exist, and so we've had to incorporate some contracted services from that service agreement budget, and one of them is our dike maintenance service agreement with Delta, so that's also included in the road maintenance budget. And then $61,000 increase for grounds maintenance. Mostly just minor changes to contracted services, materials and supplies. We're increasing it for additional dog waste stations at our parks. We've added $25,000 for hazardous tree removals. We're finding that we're having to do more of these hazardous tree removals on the TFN side of the Bluff properties. And then there's an increase for capital project maintenance periods. As we complete our capital projects, we have landscape contracts that continue beyond just the capital delivery, so those go into our operating budgets. And then minor increases on the core. an increase for vehicle maintenance, and an increase to add a new leased vehicle. We're looking to get a 550, an F550 lease for the team. So that's it for the public works side of the budget. On the utilities side, overall, it's about a 14% increase. A big increase is the $493,000 for the sewage treatment plant. And like I said earlier, a lot of this is for one-time purchases. The most significant one is we want to look at purchasing a new spare rotating assembly for our centrifuge for the plant. This is a piece of equipment that has a lot of fast-moving parts, and so there is a level of risk there. We've done a bit of an analysis. If this piece of equipment goes down, we'd be looking at long lead times to procure the equipment, and during that time, we'd be susceptible to a lot of trucking from our sanitary system to Metro Vancouver facilities. So we could be looking at like $1 million for those costs. So rather than wait for it to break and then go through it, we wanted to get the equipment now so we have it on hand. So that makes up the majority of the 493. I think it's about 255 for that. And then the rest of the treatment plant budget is just general increases for contracted services and parts. We're looking at disc filter replacements, UV bulb replacements, replacing some of the large heaters, adding an eye wash and safety showers to the plant, and looking at a wash bay. And then we have storm infrastructure filters that we need to procure to have on hand. Other than that, just regular increases to ongoing activities to accommodate the growth of the community. And then same with the 40,000 for waste and garbage collection. There's not much new there. It's just increasing because of growth. We have more residents in the community, so we have more waste services to budget for. Small increase to the sanitary collection system, and that's just to start looking at having more odor control for our sanitary systems for replacement of some of the filters for that odor control. So again, more parts to have on hand. And then the increase to core, the 68,000. Again, these are wages to accommodate the management positions, and we've also increased it by 15,000 for training and workshops as well. And then there was no changes to the water system and drainage system this year. And then moving right into engineering services and capital programs. Again, as I mentioned, we've combined engineering and capital programs into one operating budget. So this isn't the capital projects budget, it's just the staffing and some of the programming within the team. So 18% increase on this one. No change for the permit reviews and inspection budget. So really not much changing on the development engineering side. There's a $15,000 increase for general engineering. And that is just for our biannual purchase of orthographic photos. Every 2 years, or I can't remember if it's 2 or 1 year, we look at adding new orthographic photos to our GIS mapping system so that it's up to date. So that's to purchase that. And then we've got a $30,000 increase for programs and capital projects, and this is just an increase for our Stehaken Bluff monitoring. Similar to the hazard trees, we're having more minor issues popping up on the bluff, and we've got to send consultants out to review the site, provide memos and recommendations, so we're seeing more and more of that. So that's to cover that cost. And then $333,000 increase to core. So that one might seem like a bit of a surprise, but it's not really. Again, it's to accommodate the new manager position, but it also includes moving over one of the project managers that was previously in our housing budget. We've moved it over into the engineering budget because they're starting to focus more on engineering related activities. So That's what most of the increase is there, and then some increases for vehicle maintenance, as well as an increase for a vehicle lease as well. Onto the government facilities. There's 22.4% increase for government facilities. So just a $30,000 increase for government building repairs. Most of that is for our natural resources building. We have a lot of renovations that we're looking to do there. So most of the budget increases for that, as well as new facilities coming online, like our new cultural hub facility, our new elder center, and the respite home on 28th Avenue. So there's a lot more facilities. So we've got an increase for materials and supplies as well as contracted services. And the same can be said for the operations and janitorial, increasing rates, as well as all the new facilities coming online. So there's some increases for that. We've increased the budget for our seasonal janitorial services as well. And then we've included a new activity that was requested from our member services team, I guess. And this is for annual deep cleaning of the kitchens. So they would like to see steam cleaning of our kitchens. So we've included $8,000 for that, and then an increase for our HVAC services, and then another big increase on the operations and janitorial is the rent for the cultural hub. Now that we have that facility, we have to pay rent for it. So $46,500 of that budget is for the rent. And then, again, into the core, increases for the new management position, general increases for utilities rates, regular increases for materials and supplies, and then an increase for new vehicle lease. And then we've also introduced a on-call program. Last year, we introduced on-call budget for our public works and utilities team. We've had the on-call system in place, but we never budgeted for it. And so now we've expanded that into our government facilities so that we have 24/7 availability for staff to come out if there's any issues. And I think that's it for the operating budget. Happy to take any questions.
Hechka, Sean, a good way to start your evening, clear and concise presentation about the different aspects of this schedule. I would now like to open up the floor for legislatures to pose any budget-related questions to Sean Hechka. Legislatures? Legislature Halkamatia, Louise Alm.
Heitzka Squeako Sam, Heitzka Neveya for the feather. It's not a question, just a request, like I did with the earlier schedule. If in the past, it's nice to have that there page where it has the actual numbers. For the different departments, like, you know what I mean? The total, what the budget is, right? Because you just have the increases. It would be nice to have the actual numbers there. I have them in front of me thanks to somebody in staff who gave me the updated spreadsheet. So it'd be nice to have that, just for transparency for our members online and members sitting in the gallery area. Thank you. Heitzka.
Hechka, thank you so very much. I believe for legislatures, I think that those numbers will also be in the schedule in your SharePoint. So in the actual bill itself, there should be those numbers there as well. But thank you for reminding the staff about that, Legislature Halkamatia. Any other questions from legislatures regarding schedule number 3? Legislature Tequilum, Bryce Williams.
Haichka Nevea for the Feather. Not a question, just more of a comment. Just happy that for when it comes to the utility operations, that we're going to be proactive when it comes to purchasing that important equipment in case there's some sort of failure with some of that equipment. So just happy that we're able to save potential costs there when it comes to those emergencies. Haichka.
Haichka Legislature. Any other questions, legislators? Well, with the peaceful hum of that freezer, I'd like to thank Sean for this presentation, legislators for your questions. I would now like to read the motion to move Schedule 3 to the third reading and then ask for a mover and seconder. Motion to move Schedule 3, the Local Government Lands Engineering Schedule of Bill 001-2025 to third reading. Whereas the Tsawwassen Legislature has the authority under Section 512C of the Constitution Act to enact Tsawwassen laws. And whereas the Tsawwassen Legislature, under Section 24(2) of the Financial Administration Act, must approve the annual budget. And whereas under the Legislature Rules and Procedures Manual, Section 25, each bill must receive 3 separate readings. And whereas the Legislature resolved on February 11th, 2025, that each schedule of Bill 001-2025 be reviewed, debated, and voted on separately during second reading. Therefore, be it moved that the Tsawwassen Legislature move Schedule 3, the Local Government Lands Engineering Schedule, to third reading. May I have a mover, please? Legislature Marianne Adams. May I have a seconder, please? Legislature Tehuilam Bryce Williams. All in favor, please raise your hand. Thank you. Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, legislators. Good work. Well, Sean, I hope you've had a chance to have a sip of water to wet your whistle. We are going to now be moving on to the second reading of Schedule 7, the Local Government Capital Expenditure Schedule of Bill 001-2025. I would now like to invite my relative, Sean Jacobs, to give the presentation on this schedule. Haichka.
Haichka Nevea, Haichka Squeakle. Okay, on to more exciting stuff. The local government capital expenditures. So I say this every year and I say it again. Our capital projects are delivered by all of our organizations department, so it's not just engineering specific. We also have capital projects that are delivered by our planning folks, our economic development team, etc. So moving into the completed projects, we have, I believe it's 11 completed projects on the local capital side, which is great. It means we're getting things done. The first completed project is the sports field drainage improvement. So we were experiencing some drainage issues around the sports field. So we engaged with the contractor to work on some of the drainage issues. So the actual cost was lower than the budget, which is nice to see. So that project is all wrapped up. As the sports field ages, because it was never preloaded and surcharged, we're expecting differential settlements moving into the future. So we may have to do some deficiency work year after year. But for now, it's complete and functioning. This one's not yet completed, but we expect to complete it in the coming months. A garbage bin enclosure was requested for around the rec center just out here. And so we're looking to mimic the same thing we did at the Sixplex project at the end of Raven Lane. We delivered a garbage bin enclosure there, so we're looking at doing the same thing out here. This one was pretty simple. We needed an air conditioning unit for the sewage treatment plant, so we bought an air conditioning unit for the sewage treatment plant. The sewage treatment plant performance audit. This one's been on the capital budget for a number of years. We finally moved forward with it, engaged with the consultant. We're currently reviewing the final audit report now, which provides some analysis in the plant's operation efficiency and suggests some recommendations for improving those efficiencies. So that one's wrapped up. We have the report and we're reviewing it now. No parking signs in development areas. When a lot of the earlier developments started in TFN, a lot of the housing developments, we missed adding enough parking signage throughout those developments. And so we flagged that, and then we looked back at all the previous developments, and we did a little bit of an analysis, and our planning folks came up with the concept design for the no parking in previously delivered developments. So we engaged with the contractor to deliver those parking signs. The project is now complete. Moving forward into the future, as we engage with developers on their future developments, we ensure that we make sure to get these parking signs added into their design. So it's not something that we have to go back and do in the future. Street monitoring cameras. We have 13 intersections throughout TFN. When they were built, they had street cameras installed on them. We never went through the process of implementing the system. Our enforcement folks really wanted that system implemented, so we had to replace a lot of cameras. So we did that in the previous fiscal year, and now we're just trying to work with TELUS to get all the connections for the street monitoring cameras. And so the hope is that once we have that, we can lean on the camera footage for any insurance claims, or if our enforcement team need to review some evidence, they have it. So not quite complete, but we're hoping to have it done soon. Wayfinding signage, this one was pretty basic. On the left and middle and right, you see pictures of some shared pathway signs. So we identified a bunch of locations where we needed to add more signage, so we delivered the signage. And I believe we had grant funding for that, so it wasn't a cost to TFN. The TFN Sustainability Charter. Our planning folks and our policy team were working on this one kind of together. There was a lot of engagement to deliver this project. The Sustainability Charter has another name. I can't say it, but it's in Hunkamanam, and it means honoring our ancestors. So it has a better name now. This document is intended to be an overarching high-level document that speaks into our strategic plan. So it's more forward long-term thinking than a typical 5-year strategic plan. So that project's been delivered. Industrial land storm pump station. When we delivered the project, we had to do 3 years of environmental monitoring. We're on year 3, so that's going to wrap this one up. So you shouldn't see this one on future capital plans anymore. That'll be done. Sports field ditch infill project. So this is adjacent to the sports field. There was a channel there. Parking is a serious issue in TFN, and so this was one way to resolve some parking in that immediate area. So we're working with a contractor to fill in the channel, and we're going to be adding, I believe it's 18 parking stalls to serve the area. So the project's not done yet, but we're hoping to complete it in the coming months or early spring. This one is a project that our legal team had asked for. They wanted a legal survey of the top bluff at Northwest Holding Society. The actual cost for the project was a lot lower than what we budgeted for. We found that the surveyors had a lot of survey data on hand that they could lean on to provide the survey, so it was under budget. Okay, moving into the new projects on the local government side, we've identified 7 new projects to add to the project list. The first one is Tawasin Drive interim sidewalk. And so at the 2024 members gathering, we heard from a lot of members that pedestrian safety is a concern along Tsawwassen Drive, in particular the piece from the administration building up to Falcon Way. So we're looking to some options and what we can do, and we're working with a consultant on some potential design options. So that's why we have a budget in there for the Tsawwassen Drive sidewalk. And the reason why it's called interim is because we still have the Tsawwassen Drive Design Guidelines project, which is looking at all of Tsawwassen Drive and what the future road infrastructure is going to look like in the future. So that it's interim step, something that we want to do more immediately rather than wait for the Tsawwassen Drive road upgrade to occur. The next one is the dog park. So this one was a resolution in the past, so we've now added it to our project list. This budget is to start exploring some areas where we could implement a dog park. There's some sites that our planning folks are looking at, some potential options. So it's still early stages, but we've included $350,000 for design and construction. Depending on the site location, the construction budget may or may not align, but we're hoping that it does. And the reason why it's in the local government budget is because it wouldn't be member specific, it would be for the whole TFN community, including the leasehold community. Tsawwassen Drive speed humps, as Mark mentioned earlier, this is a project that's been added to the list. I'm glad to hear that the Leasehold Resident Advisory Committee is happy to hear about this one. As some of you may know, we do have speed humps along Tsawwassen Drive. They're kind of far and few between. And so to try and tackle the speeding concerns that we've heard, we're looking at a design to incorporate more speed humps along Tsawwassen Drive. And so we've added that one into the budget. And again, this one would be an interim step when we go to rebuild Tsawwassen Drive. The speed humps would get eliminated, and we'd have to look at what the permanent structure would look like as part of that project. Public Works building modification. So this one's on the new project list. What we want to do is our DPD folks, Delta Police Department, they're currently housed in the administration area. Speaking with members and our member services folks, there's a desire to see DPD moved more towards the Falcon Way area. So we identified that the Public Works building could be modified and altered to accommodate the DPD folks down there. Public Works would still continue to operate out of the Public Works building at the same time, but there would be a separation between the two. New Natural Resources building. Not much really to talk about here other than that our territory management folks want some funds to start looking at siting, programming, possibly doing some engagement. They need to scope the project still and determine what exactly it is the department needs. And so we've included some funds to start looking at that. And then we've added some money for additional water main valves on Tsawwassen Drive. The current system, the valves are really far and few between, just like the speed humps. It was delivered on an INAC approach where it was as minimal as possible. So we want to try and meet today's standards, add some more valves, eliminate the issues that we've been experiencing where if we have a service connection break free, we have to shut down large portions of Tsawwassen Drive for the water service. So we want to get ahead of that and kind of narrow down the areas that need to be shut down when we're experiencing those issues. So we've added some funds for that. And then Yarrow Drive, this one needs a bit of an explanation. We've included a map there. It's not the greatest map, but it is a map. Our new administration building that we're currently designing is on the corner of Fisherman Way and Yarrow Drive. And so that's the corner piece kind of in the center of the map. That parcel is going to be for the new administration building. But the reason we're delivering Yarrow Drive, it's part of the Ani development, but we need to deliver it in order to deliver the new admin building. So we need both roads. We don't want to wait for Ani to deliver that piece of the road because they're not focusing their efforts on that side. So we would start the design process for this road, and then in the future, there would be a latecomer agreement. So when Ani does develop their lands to the north, or if there's any other benefiting developments that benefit from that infrastructure, there'd be a latecomer agreement with them. That's it for the new projects. We'll go into the existing projects. A lot of these are multi-year projects. Most of them haven't changed. There's some minor changes. I'll refresh everyone's memories a little bit and kind of chat a little bit about them, but I'll try not to spend too much time on this section. We've talked about this one in the past, the Blue Heron median improvement, large vehicles, especially vehicles that are towing trailers or boats, experience issues with this median. It was the first road that was delivered on TFN in the residential area, and perhaps the design could have been better. It's a bit of a lesson learned scenario. So we have this one in the budget. We've currently engaged with a consultant to start working on the design, and so hopefully we can implement that in this next fiscal year to resolve the issue. Integrated survey monuments. So as TFN used to be a former reserve, for some reason we didn't have provincial survey monuments throughout the community. So this is a project, to add them into our community as part of the integrated survey network. So that one's a bit delayed, just a bit of process delays, but still working on it. And the upgrade study and breakwater culvert assessment. This one's ongoing. It's a long project. It's essentially phase 2 of a previous project, the feasibility study. The breakwater culvert assessment's been completed. The culverts in the breakwater are good for at least the next 5 years, so we'll continue to monitor those. As far as the dike upgrade study work goes, we've completed the geotechnical feasibility work, and we're just currently working with a hydraulic modeling sub-consultant. So we're hoping to have that wrapped up, and then once we have kind of the report in front of us, the next step will be engagement with the community to kind of look at what options do we have in front of us as far as coastal flood risk is concerned. 41 B Street rebuild. This one's been on the capital project for a couple of years. We're actually starting to get some motion on this one, as there's a desire from economic development to see this road built to help service the industrial lands community. So we're just in the process of starting to develop the scope of the project and then working into tendering. This one has a scope change. So 28th Avenue asphalt resurfacing and multi-use pathway. Originally, we were partnering up with TransLink to deliver this project. We were going to secure significant amounts of funding to support this project. TransLink's current situation isn't allowing for them to provide grant funding to support the full project, so the scope has been revised. The blue line that you see at the top there along 28th Avenue, we were originally intending to build a multi-use path there. Unfortunately, the funding is not going to align, and we can't do that. So the blue portion, we're only going to be looking at road upgrades, so just upgrading the laneway on TFN's side. We are trying to work with Delta because it is a boundary road. We would like to work with Delta to deliver the whole road project. Those discussions are ongoing, and depending on how the discussions go, we may want to defer this another year if Delta is on board with upgrading the road. There could be some benefits to delivering both sides at once. The yellow piece on the left, that's the area where we can get funding from TransLink and deliver a small portion of the multi-use path. TransLink has indicated in discussions to date that they would like to have other discussions with Delta to see if we can get a multi-use path on their side of the jurisdiction, on the north side. So TransLink is starting to have those discussions as well. Anyway, a big scope change with that one, so the budget's gone way down for that project. TFN fiber optic, this is kind of a placeholder budget as new roads are developed. If it's within certain areas that's going to service TFN facilities, we install conduits for our IT folks so that they can have connectivity between all of our facility buildings. So it's not like TELUS fiber, it's private TFN-owned fiber conduits. Upgrade to Brandreth Pump Station at Tsawwassen Drive. So this one's been on the budget for a couple of years now, I think, as well. Our budget hasn't aligned with Delta's budget, but Delta's capital budget now includes the generator for this pump station. So we're partnering with Delta to deliver a genset for this drainage pump station. There is no genset for this pump station. So it'll be a 50-50 cost share between TFN and Delta. So we're just having discussions about starting the detailed design work for this project. Falcon Way road improvements. So there was a lot of engagement on the Falcon Way road improvements about the design, what we wanted it to look like. We're currently going through detailed design stage with our consultant. We're having to do some stormwater analysis design work as well, which is kind of holding us up a little bit. So we had hoped to start in the summer. It may not be started in the summer this year. It might be pushed into winter, but the detailed design work is underway. Once we have the detailed design, there will be another round of engagement with the community as well. Tsawwassen Drive closure at Highway 17. This one, we've completed the detailed design work, and it is now with the Ministry of Transportation for review and feedback. So we're just in a holding pattern until we hear back from them about this one. And then the new administration building, which I mentioned earlier, that's the location for the new administration building. We wrapped up schematic design. Now we're going to start entering into the detailed design phase of the project. It's a long-term project. It's going to take a few years to get to a point where we can break ground. Our staff are having some discussions about the possibility of how we can streamline the process, looking at maybe some ground improvements early on is a possibility to get ahead of that and get ahead of that on the schedule anyway. So that budget is for the detailed design. New sanitary lift stations on Tsawwassen Drive. That one's been on the list for a little while. So the current sanitary systems on Tsawwassen Drive, they were built in 2000. And again, that was on the INAC design criteria. So it was built to accommodate a snapshot of what was existing at the time. Every time we add more houses onto Tsawwassen Drive that are feeding into our sanitary system, it's a strain on the aging system. So we've done kind of a high-level look at the whole system and some opportunities to eliminate some of the smaller lift stations and install some larger lift stations. There's currently 2 lift stations in stream, one of them kind of at the detailed design stage. We're just going through some siting configuration with with the team. And then there's also some member developments, larger scale subdivisions that require new lift stations to accommodate the developments. And then Tsawwassen Drive road improvements, I mentioned this one earlier. That's The money there is for more engagement and consulting services for concept design. Our planning folks will be leading that one, similar to the Falcon Way design guidelines that happened in previous years. This one's got a bit of a new name. Originally, it was just the Lands Office trailer relocation. We've also added in the term New Public Works Building. And so we're currently working to move the Lands Office that's located at Falcon Way to the location north of the sewage treatment plant. So that's going to take about another 4 months from now. But the reason it's called the New Public Works Building is because when we finish the new administration building in 4 or 5 years or however long it's going to take, the lands folks will move into the new admin building. And then that building will be repurposed to for the public works, utilities and facilities, and all of our operations staff will be in one core place. Dragonfly Way roadway, this one is just a developer reimbursement. They deliver the road and we have to reimburse them for the road delivery. So I think the reimbursement is pretty much out the door and with the developer now. So that one's, it's in the budget, but I think it's wrapped up already. Planting and landscape on industrial berm and pathway. So this is looking at the berm between Dragonfly Way and 41B Street. It's kind of a pilot area. We didn't want to look at the entire berm in case there's any changes in the future, but the portion of this work is to initiate the environmental compensation plan because of the loss of ditches with all the industrial lands development. So we're required to provide an environmentally sensitive area or compensation as part of that work. And so we're also looking at the possibility of adding a pathway on the berm for pedestrian walkways and whatnot. So that's what that is. Drainage utility study. This is an ongoing project. We've done a lot of engagement with some families, member families about this one. This is to do with the storm infrastructure or lack thereof within the TFN community housing area, and how what can we do to put pipes in the ground to service the community at large. So that one's ongoing. If we get to a point where we can actually construct something, the budget will go up to accommodate that. But for now, it's continuing with the design and whatnot. The bluff slope stability management, that one, again, so that one, we're doing a lot of work looking at the vegetation along the bluff, and we've been working with a consultant to provide some recommendations for a lot of the tree growth that's compromising the bluff. And so we're continuing to work with them on that. Hopefully we'll see something soon as far as the final report, but that's what that is. Great Blue Heron Way. This one continues to be on the budget. I can't remember what was in. I have my notes. I'm not going to look for them, but the budget for this year is $140,000, and so this project is kind of like a bike pedestrian trail, kind of between Highway 17, Deltaport Way. The project was identified in the land use plan, and it's the envision of one of our respected elders. Money from OSLs have been collected for this project. We're also applying for some grant funding. And so one thing that our planning folks want to look at is the feasibility of a land bridge crossing of Highway 17. So that's kind of, it's very pie in the sky at the moment, but that's something that they want to look at, seeing if it's feasible. We're applying for grant funding to support that project. Fleet renewal, that's just a placeholder for any fleet renewal activities we need to do. If we need to purchase equipment, new vehicles, anything like that, it's a carryover budget. And then access road to Tsawwassen Beach Road. This was on the 5-year outlook, but we've pulled it ahead because our operations folks are experiencing issues accessing the sanitary lift station kind of close to Tawasin Beach Road south of Satsu Shores. So they have to use a gravel road that's subjected to high tides and whatnot. So we want to put some money in there to look at the design of what we can do for that particular area. And that's it for the local budget.
Is that all?
That's it for the local. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you for the visuals that you provided, for information showing us completed projects so we can reflect on things that have been completed, the newer projects and projects that are sort of in transition or in motion and progress. Thank you for sharing. That's a lot of information and a lot of work that is happening in this particular schedule. And now I'd like to invite legislatures to offer some questions, some curious thoughts about this schedule number 7. Legislators? Legislator Paliquia, put your hand up high so that Nevia, she's over here. Legislator Don Williams, Heichka.
Heichka Squeakle Heichka Nevea for the Feather. Thanks for your presentation, Sean. Just some parking comments, and a lot of money went into no parking signs in the development areas. We've been struggling with parking around the Tawasin and Min buildings and these trailers here. So I'd like to see, it's been brought up before, but even just temporary signs or paint on the parking stalls itself, just that parking is for admin building and offices of TFN only, and maybe some signage to direct people who are walking the boardwalk and the dike to park across from the church. If they're out for a walk, they can walk that little extra ways, because it is very frustrating for staff to try to find parking spots, but it's even more frustrating for our members to try to find parking spots to access our programs and services. And then another comment about the Tawasin Drive sidewalk, or question, sorry. What side of the road would that interim sidewalk be on? Heichka.
Thank you, Legislature. So Sean, is there money in the budget to address increased signage, things, and perhaps Nevea? Sean's going to answer the question, so if we could just give that to him as well. Thank you, that would be great. And then also maybe some information about engineering, which side the sidewalk, and what's the best place for that work to happen from a structural, and maybe you've already have that in your program planning. Heichka, thank you, Sean.
Heichka Nevea for the Feather. Heichka Squeakle CM. So for the first question about the parking concerns, so we're well aware of the parking concerns. It's an issue. It's getting increasingly worse over time, especially around this particular area. A couple things that are sort of in stream that'll kind of help alleviate that is we have the contractors parking area around the Elders Center. They're going to be wrapping up that project soon, so that'll free up some more space for temporary parking. As well, when the Elder Center is delivered, there's a lot of parking stalls over there for the Elder Center, which will help as well. The area across from the church, what we're looking at with the sidewalk design is potentially converting that into more parking as well. So we are looking at it actively. As far as the signs and paint is concerned, we can easily find money in our operating budgets to add more signs. And I know our planning folks, they wanted to kind of do a more holistic view of parking throughout the TFN community. I'm not sure where that's at or what Kamal's plan is for that, but definitely we want to look at this immediate area sooner than later to kind of rectify the issues that we're experiencing. Does that answer the question? Yes, okay. For the Tawasin Drive sidewalk, that one, we've heard from a few different members about the side of the sidewalk. There's pros and cons to both the east side and the west side. The west side, there would be encroachment into the foreshore, so we could be looking at environmental permitting requirements, and we could be looking at loss of cultural plants. And then the east side, the complications that we would experience on the east side is the perceived loss of member properties. So we are working with the consultant to review. Originally, our intention was the east side. But we'll continue to discuss with the consultant in which approach is the best approach. Once we have some concept designs, we'll go back to Executive Council with the available options.
Hajka, thank you for that explanation, Sean. Any other questions, Legislature? Legislature Kuakria, Andrea Jacobs, Auntie Andrea.
Hajka Squeakwasiam, Hajka Nevea for the feather, and Hajka Sean for the presentation. All your presentations tonight. I have a couple of questions, but I'll just ask one for now. Just continuing on with what Legislator Paliquia was saying about the signage. Just wondering if there's any plans, or I would like to suggest that maybe we have some no parking signage, or there is signage, but it's very small, across from the cemetery. But there's a serious problem with parking there. There's constant litter. The taxis are always there. And that use of that area, I feel, is just being totally disrespected with our ancestors right across the street. Our members are having to pick up garbage and all sorts of things that are right there. So I would just make a nice suggestion to add no parking signs for that area as well. I think that was it for that one. Oh, and then I'll just ask one more. The consultation plan on the speed humps. Is there a plan to consult with members to see about what areas for speeding, or just to go back to the community on that, and not just Executive Council? Hajka.
Thank you, Legislature. Sean can answer that question. Thanks, Nevea.
Hajka Nevea, Hajka Squeakwasiam. Thanks for the questions. For the first one, no parking across from the cemetery. I haven't heard this one before. Thanks for raising it. We'll take that one away and discuss internally. And then consultation plan for the speed humps. We didn't originally intend to have consultation on the speed humps. We felt that it was a minor improvement to the infrastructure, and because it's an interim step to the final Tsawwassen Drive road infrastructure that will hopefully be built in the future, we didn't think it was that big of a deal, but we'll take that one away and discuss internally whether or not consultation is needed for that particular project.
Hajka, thank you, Sean. Legislature Melinda Squamia, raise your hand up. There we go. Thank you.
Hajka Squeakwa and Hajka for the feather, Nevea. Yeah, I just want clarification on the interim sidewalk. Will that be from Highway 17 to Falcon Way, or from the Admit Building to Falcon Way? And I guess more just a comment. Parking is a real struggle in front of the uncle's place. There's constantly home care coming in and out of there, and they don't have places to park. And so people in the parking lot are getting blocked, and in the driveway are getting blocked in or blocked out. And it's apparent that it's a lot of staff, but also just walkers too. So I'm not sure what could be done about that. Hajka.
Hajka Squamia for your question. Sean, can you answer that, please? Thank you.
Hajka Nevea, Hajka Squeakwasiam. Thanks for the question. So for the first clarity question about the interim sidewalk, the biggest pedestrian safety area concern is everything north of the administration building, where you're seeing those parkers all along Tsawwassen Drive. That's where we're experiencing the issues and concern. So that's kind of the area that the the walking path would be. And if a walking path was developed, it would prevent people from parking on Tawasin Drive in those particular areas. So it would resolve the issue with parking. And again, parking is a struggle. We've heard it a number of times. We're looking at creative ways to address it, what we can do kind of quickly, and also what can we do long term. And the boardwalk walkers, if they're parking in staff designated parking areas, our enforcement team can come out and ticket them, but they have a hard time identifying who's who when they're parking there. So that's a bit of a challenge we face.
Thank you, Sean. I might offer, maybe we could find out, or some staff could contact the family to maybe support them to prevent parkers from parking in front and blocking their care workers from getting into the driveway. What systems do we have in play to support the family so that the caregivers can get in and out, healthcare workers can get in and out of the uncle's house? So maybe that's something that, well, we can look at. And then, I hate to say it, but maybe in the interim, maybe we get permit stickers on all of our staff and members. And so then that's permit only and permit only. I know that's another big programming thought, but it is a problem. I probably have parking fees from the chief's house as I have to park there every council day. And anyhow, just thank you for those comments and those questions, Legislature. Legislator Tehuilam, Bryce Williams. Raise your hand up high, Bryce. Thank you. Thank you, Legislator.
Haitchka Nevea for the Feather and Haitchka Squequel. And thank you, fellow legislators, for a lot of your questions. I shared a lot of the same ones. I'm curious, what would the cost of creating an interim sidewalk along all of Tawasin Drive look like? Would that just be doubling the that whole budget? Just off the top of your head, is that something that it would probably look like? Thank you.
Haitchka Legislature. Sean, if you could respond, that would be great. Thank you.
Haitchka Nevea for the Feather, Haitchka Squequel. Thanks for the question. So that one's a bit of a difficult question to answer because we don't exactly know what the solution is, and we're trying to go after grant funding with, I believe it's TransLink. And so one of the requirements that TransLink has is that the pathway has to be 2.4 meters wide. Otherwise, they're not willing to provide grant funding. So I'm not sure how much grant funding they could provide as a maximum to offset the costs that we'd be looking at if we wanted to deliver a walking path all the way along Tawasin Drive. It is an interim step for walking, so it really depends on how badly do we need it south of Tawasin Drive and how much are we experiencing safety issues for pedestrian walking on the areas south of the administration building, and whether or not that's a real concern that we want to address. Unfortunately, I don't have the number off the top of my head. Doubling it, sure, maybe. That might be the answer.
Haitchka, thank you, Sean. Legislature Halkamatia, Louise Alm. You're getting your steps in now, Nevea.
Haitchka Nevea, Haitchka Squequel. I was just wondering about the dike upgrade study. I was previously on the dike and drainage committee with Delta, so I know a lot about their waterfront. Majority of our concerns is, like, even if we were to have the money and to upgrade our dike and make it sufficient, it would be hazardous if our neighbors didn't have their work done because of the water to rise that come into our so-called back door and create even a more hazard because it'll catch water from going back out into the water. So what our neighbors do and the timings. I'm just wondering if the upgrade study is working in conjunction with our neighbors and even the two causeways, because that's another area where even if we had our dike filled in and the causeways, the water can come in through the causeways because it could be still lower. Hechka.
Hechka Holkomatia. Sean, could you please provide a response?
Haichka Nevea, Haichka Squikolcia. Thanks for the question. So first part about the cost. It's very expensive. And so not only TFN, but other municipalities, when they're looking at dike upgrades, they look at grant funding, they look to senior governments to support the funding. The current project we have right now, which is about $300,000, is fully funded. So TFN isn't paying for any of the study work that we're performing. And the hazard you described with other agencies or neighboring jurisdictions not doing dike upgrades at the same time is a real issue that needs to be resolved. And so municipalities, TFN, other nations, they need to advocate to senior government to ensure that implementation is kind of overarching and includes all municipalities. There are requirements for dike improvements from provincial and federal governments as well. So they have to achieve certain heights by certain dates. So those mandates have been set. But yes, once we have the feasibility study and we're presented with some options, discussions with our neighbors at Delta, discussions with the port, and any gaps that are discovered through the analysis will need to be had, for sure.
Hechka, thank you, Sean. Legislature Lecolia, Tia Williams.
Haichka Squeakle, Haichka Nevea for the feather, and thanks, Sean, for that presentation. That was a lot of information. With all of the new parking signage that was added, does BILA actively monitor that, like tow-away zones and things? And I guess that kind of goes in with my other comment about the signage for the admin, the rec center, and all of those areas. What else did I have? Oh, about the speed humps. I agree with having like a little consultation with the community. We know speeding has always been a problem on Tsawwassen Drive. But I know for folks who live closer to Tsawwassen Drive, in the past have had like speed bumps really close to their homes. They've experienced like the property or their home shaking. Maybe engineering's gotten better in the last 20 years, but high hopes. And then for the bluff slope stability management, I noticed that you'd also mentioned bluff monitoring was included under capital projects. Do those just work hand in hand with each other to, okay. I think that's all for now.
That's good, Legislature Lecolia. I think Sean was scribbling as madly as he could to capture all of your questions, so thank you. Sean?
Haichka Nevea, Haichka Squeakle CM. Yeah, so our bylaw enforcement team, they do enforce the no parking signs. Once a sign is up, they have the power to enforce them, so they do enforce them. They do run into challenges in catching them, identifying them. There's parking rules, so currently it's more complaint-based. They're not out there actively spending time looking for culprits that are non-compliant with our signage, as that would be a lot of work and we'd have to add more staff for that. So we are taking it as a complaint-based system for now. The speed humps, again, we've heard it before. The request for consultation, we'll take that and discuss internally. As far as better design, for those of you who grew up in the community, you've seen all different kinds of speed bumps out here. A lot of them really bad. So the ones we would be moving forward with would be standard detailed design, standard specification. So they are engineered, and hopefully they're constructed as designed as well. So hopefully that would resolve any past issues with experiencing vibrations from vehicles going by. And then bluff monitoring, yes, the bluff monitoring, they go hand in hand. The capital budget is more about looking at the whole bluff and kind of doing a full analysis and providing recommendations and possibly even performing some of the work for the whole bluff area. The minuscule amount that we have in our capital programs budget, I believe it's about 40,000. That's just to take care of one-off issues that come up. Like if we have a small slide or something that we have to go and look at and have it assessed, that's what that budget is for. Aichka.
Hechka, Sean. Legislature of Sultanate, Loretta Williams. Nevaeh, she's in the other corner there. Thank you. Good job, Nevaeh.
Okay, Haichka, I made a promise to myself I wasn't going to ask questions, but this is going to be a comment. It's in regards to the sidewalks and what side it will be on. Because last year we had a problem with the settlers walking and going into our yards and picking the flowers or the chestnuts and everything. And it's a private driveway. So I'm just wondering, you know, can we have, we're talking about signage and everything else, you know, like, and if we could request, you know, signs for a private driveway or something, you know, like, but that's just my comment. Thank you. And that's it for tonight.
Hechka, thank you, Sultanate. Legislature Tequilium, Bryce Williams.
Haichka Nevaeh for the Feather and Haichka Squeakle CM. I had a question on TFN Drive closure at Highway 17. I think I might have asked this question before, but I forget, so just bear with me. Curious on the if that is going to be like a fob system that's going to be available for use for members, or I'd imagine it's just going to be for emergency services to be able to access. I forget, so thank you.
Hechka Legislature, Sean.
Haichka Nevaeh, Haichka Squeakle CM. Starting with this side, the sidewalk that staff were currently looking at was on the east side. We've heard comments about whether or not there's a benefit to having it on the west side or the east side. So we'll take that one away and do a bit more analysis and research and kind of come up with a bit of a pros and cons list, something that we can present to Executive Council. As far as signs for private driveway, I'm not sure if we want to go that route. Kind of a standard engineering practice is to avoid putting signs if you don't need them. I get the concern, but I think it would be a bit odd to have signs stating this is private property or these are private driveways. So we would like to avoid a prolific signs throughout the community if we can help it. As far as the Tsawwassen Drive closure, we had discussed a fob system. That could create complications as we'd have to deliver fobs to those that are going to use the access entrance, whether it be emergency services, Delta Police, or if we upgrade our transit route, we would have to have buses that would have a fob system. So one thing that we're taking into consideration is perhaps a keypad approach, something that you could roll up to and input a code.
Hechka, Sean. I see Tequilium. Do you have a follow-up on that? Bryce, Legislature Bryce.
Haichka Sean, Haichka Nevaeh for the Feather, Haichka Squeakle CM. Follow up, just curious, so it sounds like it will be open to members. My main concern was around access for fishermen and their boats to be able to get to the boat launch over there on the, what do you call it, Highway 17 there. So yeah, just adding to that. So thank you.
Hechka, Sean, would you like to respond to that? Hechka.
Haichka Nevaeh, Haichka Squeakle CM. Sorry, I should have mentioned that. Not just emergency services, but all of membership as well for their access. Pedestrian access for any resident leaseholder members, they would be able to access through by pedestrian, but not vehicle. Let's go.
Hajka Legislature Spiloctowit, Terry Splockton.
Hajka Squeakquel, Hajka Feather Runner. This one is for the Tawasin Drive. You were mentioning about that we may lose traditional medicine. I know it looks like we're going to lose a lot because it starts from where the fence is, further, and the further you go in, that's where the Kakmin is. So how far in are we going to lose? with
If
our
the
traditional
sidewalk was
medicines.
put, if the sidewalk was put on that side?
Yeah. Because I'm kind of worried with, the traditional medicine starts from where the fence is. All those bushes that you see along Tawasin Drive, all that is traditional medicine. Hajka?
Hajka Legislature, Sean?
Hajka for the Feather Nevea, Hajka Squeakle Siam. Yes, that's one of the major cons with looking at putting the sidewalk on the west side of the road is the medicinal plants that are in that area. And I indicated earlier, but in order to achieve grant funding from TransLink to support the project, they require a 2.4 meter wide sidewalk. So if we wanted the grant funding, that's how wide the sidewalk would need to be. There is the possibility that we could narrow the sidewalk down to a 1.5, 1.8 meter standard to align with regular size sidewalks, but TransLink likes the wide sidewalk to support bike networks.
Hajka, Sean, it seems like we're having quite the dilemma with this sidewalk. Privacy issues, perceived encroachment issues, environmental issues, and yet we have a big demand for years to have a sidewalk. Now we are having the challenge of deciding where's the best place to position it. So I imagine that staff are going to continue on struggling with that question, trying to find the best solution to promote the safety on the road by providing sidewalks. And I think that also looking at some of the unfortunate privacy issues that was raised, I think it was last session as well, of non-members going on to members' properties when they should not be. We've heard all kinds of different unusual stories about non-members that are going onto our members' property. So privacy issues is probably another takeaway for discussion and how we manage it, because I think that no parking signs aren't working, private property signs will likely not be as effective either. So there's a larger problem, but there's probably a multitude of different solutions that we can put in play if we want to talk about it from a problem-solving perspective. So thank you for those questions. Are there any legislature questions from any other legislatures? Legislator Kwiakwia, Andrea Jacobs.
Hajka Squeakle for allowing me to ask one more question. And in fact, I don't know if you can answer this question, Sean. You're presenting for basically all capital. So my question is specific to the new natural resources building. I'm wondering, I remember the plans were that the building was going to be on the water, where the land was, where we actually got it, and where the new dock, or the old dock was. So I don't know, I don't know if you know, maybe I can wait until Natural Resources presents, but it's in here, so yeah, I just don't know where that's at, and I see it's only 100, so yeah, just wondering what the plans are, if you know any information on that.
Hajka Legislature, Sean.
Hajka Nevea, Hajka Squeakle Siam. So taking a step back, we had a facilities plan done I don't recall what year it was done, but we're in the process of redoing our facilities plan, and we're looking at all these different sites that were identified as different uses. The current facilities plan has the natural resources building kind of taking over the spot where Public Works currently is. And so in discussions with our territory management director, that may not be an ideal spot. And there has been discussions about whether or not we can site something at River Road, where we have all the outbuildings, where there used to be a dock. The problem with that area is it's outside of TFN jurisdiction, so that would have to be taken into consideration. We own the parcels, but because it's not connected to, it's not contiguous land within TFN, it's not part of our jurisdiction, so it's within Delta. So this budget, it's a small budget just to work on scope and start the discussion, possibly do some engagement, and just kind of figure out what it is they need. What are the siting options that they're looking at? How big does the space need? What are the uses? So a lot of questions that need to be answered, which that's why we have the budget to engage with consultants for any concepts or do any research as required. Haichka.
Haichka, Sean, thank you, Legislature. I feel like we've had a lot of discussion, some questions, some clarity asked about some specific items. I don't see any pressing budget-related issues that we're unable to address. I think we're ready to vote on this schedule. So I will now thank you, legislatures, for all of your contributions, questions, and comments. I'd now like to read the motion to move Schedule 7 to third reading and then ask for a mover and a seconder. Thank you again, Sean. Motion to move Schedule 7, the Local Government Capital Expenditure Schedule of Bill 001-2025 to third reading. Whereas the Tsawwassen Legislature has the authority under Section 512C of the Constitution Act to enact Tsawwassen laws, and whereas the Tsawwassen Legislature under Section 24(2) of the Financial Administration Act must approve the annual budget, and whereas under the Legislature Rules and Procedures Manual, Section 25, each bill must receive 3 separate readings. And whereas the Legislature resolved on February 11th, 2025, that each schedule of Bill 001-2025 be reviewed, debated, and voted on separately during second reading. Therefore, be it moved that the Tsawwassen Legislature move Schedule 7, the Local Government Capital Expenditure Schedule, to third reading. May I have a mover, please? Laqualia, Legislature Tia Williams. Seconder, please. Piliquia, Legislature Don Williams. All in favor, please raise your hands high. Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, Legislature. I'd like to call for a break before we move into our next schedule, about a 7 to 10 minute break. Haichka. All right, legislatures, can we find our way back to our seats? Welcome back, legislatures. Thank you for that short break and all of that good work. We are now moving on to second reading of Schedule 14, the Member Capital Expenditures Schedule of Bill 001, 2025. I would like to invite Sean Williams up to present this schedule. Sean Jacobs. Where did that come from? I think I was thinking of Cousin Bryce, just teasing him, and then my thought crossed lines. Good gravy. All right, I know you're my relation, but I don't think that you're that close. Sean Jacobs, thank you so very much. Nevea, he'll use the feather so he can speak. Thank you so much. That's wonderful. My apologies, Sean. I guess I owe you lunch.
Haichka, Nevea, Haichka, Squeakle, I'm sure the Williams family would love to adopt me, but for now, I'll remain a Jacobs. Okay, going into the member capital expenditures, we have 7 completed projects for the member capital. So again, lots of completed projects, which is great news. Gives our project managers time to start focusing on some of the projects that have been deferred in the past. The first completed project on the member capital is the renovations that were done at the Sixplex, the Raven Nest, as it's been named. So this project enhanced the insulation in the building's exterior walls, added new cladding to the building, and gave it an overall a facelift. And we changed out a lot of the windows, some of the doors, and we're working on the landscaping, and the courtyard was kind of redone. And so a lot of work went into that. So that one's wrapped up. We're just dealing with some minor deficiencies with the fence, which will hopefully be wrapped up soon, but in all essence, it's completed. Falcon Way, lots A and B. So this was the duplex project. There were 12 units delivered. We partnered up with the developer that was working in the area to have the homes delivered at cost. And so the project was a huge success. It kind of showed us that partnering up with developers to deliver these types of projects has its benefits. And so that's something we would look to doing in the future. So the actual cost for this project was a little bit more than what we budgeted for, as there were some unknowns with the infrastructure. When the developer originally provided his estimate, their thoughts were that this servicing, like the sanitary, water, and storm, would be one central system servicing all of them. But because the way the project was delivered, we needed individual services for individual homes. So that's why we see the increase for that particular project. The Elder Center, this one's ongoing. Every day we get asked, when is it going to be complete? We have interim occupancy, and we're just waiting for furniture to come to the building. We know our elders are really keen and looking forward to getting a tour of the facility. So that's something that we would accommodate. We would have our elders visit the site before opening it itself, but soon it will be open. Overall, it's a 10,000 square foot building. It's a post-disaster facility, much like our youth center was developed. It's got a commercial kitchen, games room, multi-purpose room, dining rooms, lots of staff offices, healing rooms, and a lounge. So yeah, it's magnificent. I've seen the inside of it. I'm sure a lot of you are looking forward to seeing it. It's a fabulous facility, and I can't wait to see it up and running and operational. So there's some increases to this particular project, and the reason why the difference is we had the cost estimate provided by our engineering consultant pre-COVID. And so when COVID hit, that's when we saw all the supply chain issues, escalating construction costs. So that's why the project ended up being over. We did end up securing grant funding to support the project, but it was a little bit over, unfortunately, but still a great project. The next completed project, which is now open and operational, I believe the language and culture team is in the facility now. So the cultural hub was completed, and this is a space in the commons. So originally we were offered kind of a smaller space from the commons, free of charge. The facility we required was much larger, so we're ending up with a bigger space than what was originally offered. Overall, the facility it includes office space, meeting spaces for the language and culture team, the possibility to host like a gift shop at some point. I'm not sure if the programming is far enough along to start looking at that, but that is an option within the space. There was significant increases on this particular budget. When the scope was defined for the project, it didn't include everything that was needed. As we started to engage all the entities required that were going to be using this facility, that's when we started to see some additional scope changes, the request for a repository, which led to climate control issues that needed to be incorporated, as well as implementing a generator system so that it has power if there's a power outage. So all of those costs kind of led to the escalating cost of the facility. The good news about the repository is it'll allow TFN to engage with the museums and possibly get back some of the artifacts that they're currently holding for TFN. So that is a possibility that could come from this. The TFN Community Farm, this one was a bit of a smorgasbord of a project. It included multiple things like the barn demolition, adding freezers, drainage, electrical. So there were all these little piecemeal projects that were separated throughout previous capital projects. We lumped it all together into one and kind of delivered everything we needed to for those particular elements. We received lots of grants for that project. We've also installed a greenhouse, and so all of that work is wrapped up. Boatyard relocation project, and so this was driven by our economic development folks. We had, as part of our agreement with Bass Pro, we had a leased section kind of in the southwest corner of the industrial parcel that's shown in the image there. And so they had that area for their boatyard, the Bass Pro boatyard. When economic development secured a deal with a developer to develop the lot for industrial use, it became apparent that they needed to move the boatyard as part of the lease agreement. So our economic development team has moved the boatyard, and they're created a new access path leading to the boatyard on the east side of the sewage treatment plant. The good news with that access is it's also serving to provide access to where we're moving the lands trailer. So it's 2 in 1, if you will. So the project's wrapped up. A little bit over budget on that one as well, but not too bad, just a little bit. For the supported care facility, this is a 7-bedroom home. We received rapid housing funding to support the project. That's 1.28 million. And so the project is wrapped up, and our member services team will be starting to look at the programming. We have various facilities throughout TFN, so they need to kind of look at all of those facilities in conjunction with one another and see how they're going to run the operation. So the project is complete, it's delivered, and done. For the new projects, there's only 4 new projects on the member capital side. The first one is repurposing the old Elder Center. So with the new Elder Center coming online, all of the staff and the programs that used to be serviced out of the old Elder Center, no pun intended, is what are we going to do with that building? So staff have been talking about it. There's been a lot of moves within TFN staff organization, especially with the lands trailer move. There's been some interim setups. So we still don't quite know exactly what the facility will be. We've heard from our executive council that the membership would like to know what's happening with that facility. So there's a lot of talk with this particular facility. We heard at advisory council that the elders that use the facility have a connection to that particular site. So there's a desire to hear and understand, I guess, what the use will be. So it's not decided at this point, but when it is decided, we have funds set aside for the renovation. So that'll include upgrading the roof and any interior modifications that are required to accommodate whatever use is decided for the building. Playground upgrade at the daycare. Our education team is looking at securing grant funding. I'm not sure if they have it yet, but they're looking at it. So the request was originally for the matting in the daycare. They're experiencing some issues with the matting. They wanted to replace the matting. Our facilities folks looked at the site, they looked at the playground. If you're gonna go and replace the matting, you might as well look at the whole playground and just kind of do it all at once. And so that's why we've included $300,000 in the budget for the upgrade for the daycare. Industrial lands site preparation. So this one is from our economic development team. Over the past 10, 12 years, however long it's been, economic development has been filling the industrial lands. So they're getting to a point where they've achieved most of the filling. They're working on the last project fill work for that particular industrial lands area. And so we currently only fill to elevation 2.5, so that's a certain height. And then what economic development does is they lease the property out to a developer, and then when the developer comes along, they have to add more fill to bring it up to the minimum building height. So essentially they have to come in and do more filling anyway. So economic development wants to kind of look at the whole area, think about adding more fill to all of the lands, and increase the sale value or the lease sale value of the property. There's a business case there. It's economically viable. They think to do that, they'd be able to sell at least the parcels for more if they complete most of the fill works beforehand, rather than having the developer come in and do additional fill works afterwards. And then TFN Community Farm Precinct. Might be hard to tell on the picture there. There's a lot going on, but our planning folks have been tasked with developing a bit of a master plan for the community farm. Rather than trying to do piecemeal sections and doing bits at a time, we want to kind of take a more of a holistic approach. What is it we want? And kind of plan the whole area so that anything that we're doing there is going to serve the end use. So we've got money in the budget for design and some construction work. It won't be the construction of everything, but perhaps some of it. The biggest takeaway here is that we want to get as much of the master design done so we know where all the pieces fit. And then that's it for the new projects, existing projects. I'll run through these quickly. I don't think there's too many changes. The Longhouse upgrades, unfortunately, that one is getting deferred another year. We've been working on kind of the scope based on the feedback we heard from the Longhouse Committee and the feedback we've heard from Executive Council. We've got a laundry list of things that we want to implement. Previous year, the budget was about 250. Based on the information that we have to date, we're increasing it to 400 to accommodate the requests that we've received. A lot of the upgrades include like walking paths possibly around it, enhancement of the burning area possibly if required, looking at outdoor fire pits, modifying the bathrooms to be fitted with shower facilities, better seating for elders, the water heater systems in the Longhouse likely need to be replaced, and then some fire safety issues that need to be addressed, as well as enclosing the ceiling. Currently it's open and you can see insulation exposed. That's a bit of a fire safety that we want to address, so we want to enclose that. So more to come on that. Longhouse is currently, as I understand, closed, so we want to get to a point where we can kind of tender it right away, and when the Longhouse opens up again, we want to have a general contractor come in and complete the work as quickly as possible so that it's all wrapped up before it closes again. And then HSS Healing Center, that one's been on the budget for a while. I guess it's kind of a placeholder, depending what comes out of the safety panel discussion or the safety strategy that's ongoing. It could be a possible healing center for people with substance abuse and trauma. It's not really a project that's underway right now, but it's a placeholder in case we want to start some programming and design work for such a facility. And then Brunswick Point property repairs. So this is just to wrap up the demolitions that we've been working on. When we acquired the Brunswick Point properties, there were several buildings that were kind of dilapidated and needed to be removed. They were safety hazards, kind of unfit for living. So we've been kind of chipping away at that. We've demolished a couple of the buildings. We're still working on some of the building demolition work as well. And then it also includes some funds for general property repairs and maintenance for the facilities that are still in operation. Youth Capital Improvement Program. So this is just a small pot of funds in case our education folks want to do some sort of program with the youth during the summer. In the past, they've delivered a lot of infrastructure upgrades like seating and a fire pit and benches and gazebos and stuff like that to the temporary members park by Satsu Shores. And so we just want to keep that pot there in case they want to do some more improvements. TFN member business storage and boatyard facility. So this is economic development again. It's been on the list for a while. It's for programming for a possible member boatyard storage. We need to do some analysis and review to see what the community needs are. Currently, there is a temporary facility available for members, and so economic development wants to kind of revisit the project and see what is required for member business storage and a boatyard facility. So the budget is still there for them to continue with that work. Industrial land servicing. That one's a bit of a placeholder for anything our economic development team needs to ensure that we can continue leasing out any properties. So this is for any infrastructure upgrades that would be required for extension of roads, storm, water drainage, or any other utility services so that we can still lease out our industrial properties. And then the Community Land Trust, this is just $750,000 that TFN puts in towards a pot so that if we want to purchase any right of first refusal lands or any other strategic property, we have funds available to do that. We had recently spent a good portion of that pot on recent purchases, so we want to keep moving and increasing the funds that we have available for strategic purposes. Rental housing restoration funds. This budget used to be bigger in previous years, but we've done some extensive work on the rental housing stock for TFN, and so we're seeing it drop down to the $100,000 mark. It's a year after year budget so that we can continue to do repairs for our rental housing stock, especially when we have move-ins and move-outs. There's lots of work that needs to be done for upgrades. Some of the rentals are older facilities, so they need significant upgrades. So anytime we have an opportunity to do rental housing upgrades, we have the money there. New cemetery site. So this budget is mostly for the ongoing filling work that's occurring on the parcel in conjunction with the adjacent parcel for the 13-acre site. And then we also want to start looking at programming and some concept design. So our planning folks will take that away and start looking at what's required for a possible cemetery site and how can that be configured in the space that we have. TFN ancestral repatriation. This is an ongoing project. We have material that we continue to screen and pull out any archaeologically significant materials or artifacts. So we have this year after year in the budget. The intention for this year is some more mechanical screening to support the work for that. So yeah, so every year we have $400,000 in there to continue with that work. And then the 13-acre site fill program, that work is ongoing. It's just the work to fill the 13-acre parcel, which is just off of Salish Sea Drive. We installed a culvert system across the Salish Sea Drive channel to gain access. If you go that way, you'll likely see the new access into the site and the filling work's ongoing. So this budget is just to fill the parcel. I don't think land use has been completely decided on what we want to do there. Those discussions are happening. And then this is the remaining fill works that economic development is doing. They've been filling all the parcels over the last 10 to 12 years, and they're coming to the kind of last little pieces of it there. So this is just to wrap up that program. The dock breakwater construction, that one's been on the list for a while. In discussions with our territorial management folks, we want to take a collaborative approach where territory management, lands, and engineering, we're all kind of collaborating on this particular project. The first step is to kind of go back to the community and find out what it is we need. There's many different uses that are required for a dock. Whether you're a salmon fisher or a crabber, you may have different uses. I am neither, so I can't speak to what those uses are, but the first step is to go back to the community and find out what exactly do we need and how can we achieve that. Are there better ways to achieve it than some of the ways that we've looked at in the past? So kind of taking a step back and figure out what we need is the next step for that project. Industrial lands, BC Hydro servicing, that's just the placeholder in case. So as we continue to develop our industrial lands and we have more facilities popping up in the industrial lands, there's going to be a potential tipping point where BC Hydro servicing doesn't meet the demand. And so we have year after year, we keep that budget in there in case we need to start the process of upgrading BC Hydro servicing to the lands. TFN built homes for member purchase. So this project has been on the list for a couple of years, It changes from year to year. A few years ago, it was the relocation of a house on Tawasin Drive, the top half of the house to Falcon Way. That was delivered. We continue to keep this on the project because anytime we're delivering homes that could be sold to members or rented to members through a rent-to-own program, that's why we have this. So what we want to do, when the lands trailer moves, there's those parcels, the single-family parcels on Falcon Way. We want to look at the possibility of building more duplexes. There was a lot of great feedback when those duplexes were delivered. There's a long list of people that want to move into duplexes within the TFN community. So if there's an opportunity to deliver more duplexes, that's something we're exploring. We're currently in discussions with some developers on the possibilities of what it would look like to deliver a similar project to what we did on lots A and B. So ideally, we could deliver something maybe in summer of 2026 at the earliest. So that's, I think that's it. Yes, that's it.
That was a pretty excited yes, Sean. Yes, that's it. Thank you so much for that great presentation on Schedule 14, Member Capital Expenditures of Bill 001, 2025, taking a look at what was done, what's currently happening, and what's still remaining on the books. Again, thank you for the detailed explanations, the pictures, and now I'd like to invite any legislators that might have any questions with respect to this schedule. Legislators? Legislator Louise Alm, Halkamatia.
Hi, technically this isn't in the schedule. It's completed projects, so that was last year. But I was just wondering with the outer center, I thought we received like 6 million via the port, and in the column that I have in the printout, it's only got 3.75 million mentioned. So I'm just wondering, didn't we get 6 million from the port, the MORs or MOA thing? I'm pretty sure I remember seeing that.
Hajka legislator, and I think that Mark is going to come up and respond to that question, Nevaeh. Mark?
CM, thank you for the question. You're correct. We actually have $7 million in total from the port. I think what you're seeing on the schedule is half of it was last year and half this year.
Hajka, thank you so much. Any other questions from legislature? Legislator Spiloctuit, Terry Splocton. Trying to make sure I get my last names right now.
Well, thank you, Feather Runner. And thank you, Sean, for all your presentations tonight. Is there a timeline for the new cemetery? And then the second question I have is, how do I word it? I'm having a brain fart. I had this conversation earlier. It's about, who would make the decision of which families would have like plots in this new cemetery? HK.
Thank you, legislature. Sean?
Hajka Nevaeh, Hajka Squikalciam. Thank you for the question. The timeline for the new cemetery, it's hard to put a definitive timeline on when a new cemetery would be up and running. Currently, our focus is on getting it filled. We expect that the filling operations would be complete by 2026. That would be for both the cemetery site and the 13-acre parcel. In conjunction with that, we'll be starting with the programming in this next fiscal year. So our planning folks will start looking at the configuration, what's required, engagement efforts with the community as well. As far as who decide who gets what where, I think it's early in the design process to get into that, but it's a great takeaway for when we get to the point of engagement with the community and the culture staff to figure out the appropriate way to deliver the cemetery facility. Hajka.
Hajka, thank you so much, Sean. Yeah, that's an important question that's delicate and complex all at the same time, and I think that we will walk slowly and with an open heart and mind when we get to do that work. We've come a long way to get to this point, so we'll continue to take our time and make sure that we're doing that work in a good way. So thank you. Any other questions, legislators, regarding the schedule? All right then, I have given the appropriate pregnant pause there, so much so that it's a little uncomfortable, so to make sure that anybody that was percolating any thoughts in their heads would have an opportunity. Thank you again, Sean. You can rest easy now. You have done your duty to our people and provided some excellent information for us to be able to deliberate and decide on the budget work, which means now I am going to read the motion to move Schedule 14 to third reading, and then I will ask for a mover and a seconder and then call a vote. Motion to move Schedule 14, the member capital expenditures schedule of Bill 001-2025 to the third reading. Whereas the Tsawwassen Legislature has the authority under Section 512C of the Constitution Act to enact Tsawwassen laws. Whereas the Tsawwassen Legislature under Section 24(2) of the Financial Administration Act must approve the annual budget. And whereas under the Legislature Rules and Procedures Manual, Section 25, each bill must receive 3 separate readings. And whereas the Legislature resolved on February 11th, 2025, that each schedule of Bill 001-2025 be reviewed, debated, and voted on separately during second reading. Therefore, be it moved that the Tsawwassen Legislature move Schedule 14, the member capital expenditure schedule, to third reading. May I have a mover, please? Legislature Marianne Adams. May I have a seconder? Legislature Kwiakwia Andrea Jacobs. All in favor? Please raise your hands high. Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, legislators. Good work. Woo! That was a lot of capital projects, a lot of infrastructure, a lot of utilities, a lot of work. It's amazing, though, to reflect on the work that we've done in the last 15 years, and even reflecting on the work that we've done in the last 25 years. Some conversations have continued on, and other conversations are new, and we are now looking at the ability to serve our people in a good way. I was thinking about the playground. I remember when we were first thinking about playground years ago, how difficult it was to try and get a simple playground for our people and our youth and our younger ones, and the money that we needed to find that. And now we take a look at a playground and say, we don't need just to replace the surface, let's replace it all to make sure that the safety of our little ones is taken care of. So proud work and a proud time to be a Tsawwassen member and a leader. Thank you, legislatures, for all of your hard work and putting your head to this work and thinking about things and asking questions and contemplating them, even if you didn't verbalize them, and then in the end voting on them to use your voice to move our good work forward. Thank you to staff. I guess in particular to Sean. Thank you for putting all this work together and supporting us and allowing us to be able to sit at this table and do the work that we need to work. I would like to thank our relative Swanson, Victoria, and her little one for the prayer. I really do appreciate bringing the little ones. That's how we have always done it, bring our little ones to the work so that they can see it and witness it. Thank you again to Yums Catering for providing the nourishment for our bodies, to a Sultanat to making sure that we start our meal off in a good way with a table song, and to Connie for drumming us in, and I believe Connie's also going to be doing her, sharing her drum with us to drum us out. So thank you again, Connie, for sharing that. And lastly, I would like to thank our elders who stand by us and give us the support that we need, to our advisory council who deliberate and discuss these important issues so that they can forward that information to us, to our members who are present in person and online, and also ask us to always raise the bar to make sure that we're providing programs and services that are relevant and useful to them to improve their well-being, to our staff who sacrifice their time from their families and are feeling the dreary state of hearing and doing the budget for so long that it's starting to catch up with you. Just remember to take care of yourselves. I know we came out from a long weekend, but that's quickly forgotten when we do a 16-hour day with council work and legislative assembly. So thank you so very much. And thank you for any guests that are participated online and with us. And much thanks to our young feather runner. She did a great job. At the end of this session, we're going to take a look at her Fitbit step tracker to see how many steps that she put in today. Thank you so very much, Nevaeh, for such good work. Again, as always, legislature, it's a great honor and privilege to be sitting here supporting the work that you have to do. With that, I adjourn the meeting and we can proceed with our ceremonial procession out. Haichka Usi.